Well, the Western states, which is very much the status that has spread all around the world in the 20th century, starts off really, I think, in the 16th and 17th centuries with Thomas Hobbes, who says that what the state is for is providing security, stopping, if life is in the state of nature is nasty, solitary, brutish, and short, and that the way we can stop people from giving way to their natural aggressiveness is by handing all power to the state, and the state becoming this sort of leviathan, the term that he uses, to impose law and order. And that's the fundamental, that's the basic role of the state. Then you get layers on top of that. In the mid-19th century, John Stuart Mill, who's the next person to come along with a really comprehensive view of the state, a liberal view of the state, says, well, the state is basically about providing freedom and the conditions for freedom. The conditions for freedom are law and order. They're also a just and efficient state. But apart from that, we shouldn't try to do too much. The state should, he talks about the night watchman state, the state restricting what it does in order to maximize freedom. So with Hobbes, you're maximizing security. With Mill, you're maximizing freedom. Then in the early 20th century, you get a more complicated notion of what the state is about. People begin to say, well, what is freedom for the child of a chimney sweep who has to go up a chimney at the age of 10? Or for somebody who can't afford to feed themselves or house themselves or clothe themselves. So that they then add a new notion of freedom, which is the freedom to participate in civilized life, which requires a minimum of welfare provisions. That's I talk about Sidney and Beatrice Webb, who are sort of big socialists. They were really the inventors of the British welfare state. So that's a new notion, a more nuanced notion of freedom, which is freedom to participate in civilized life with the state taking responsibility for healthcare, education, pensions, and things like that. Then that conception of the state really keeps expanding and expanding and expanding until you get another correction coming in with the so-called neoconservatives, people like, or the neoliberals, I should call them, people like Hayek and Friedman, who say, well, we need a bit more John Stuart Mill, a bit more 19th century liberalism, because the state has got so big that in providing the freedoms of education and pensions, the rest of it, it's crushing too many other freedoms. So I really think that, you know, Hobbes and security, Mill and freedom, and the Webbs and a minimum set of welfare benefits. Those are the three parameters. And since then, we've been arguing about the boundaries of the state. Now, more recently, and I didn't talk about this in my book at all on the Fourth Revolution, but it's a more recent thing. There's a sort of idea that the state should also engage in identity issues. It should celebrate your identity in some sense. So if you're on the left, it should celebrate your identity, whether it's a gender identity or a sexual identity or a race identity, or if you're on the right, it should celebrate your national identity. So the new wave of nationalism is centers much more about identity issues, and that is, of course, much more divisive, because whereas, you know, welfare states are designed, and security states are designed to bring the nation together, identity questions always raise issues about, you know, who we are, not just what is the state for, but who are the we who are being catered